Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, CardHoarder.com, Alter Sleeves, as well as our Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters just like you. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl.
Hey, guys.
Ruben Bressler.
What's up? How's it going?
Ooh, it's going well. If you missed our pre-show, we're doing something new and crazy now, which we are streaming the pre-shows to our subscribers on Twitch. And I thought I did this years ago, but I did it just 2 minutes ago, which I officially connected our Discord and our Twitch. They're married now. They're going to have children. They're looking to buy insurance. Really? It's a whole thing. But the point is true? They're connected now, and it's wonderful. So if you're a subscriber, you go to our Discord, and you know, that's where we hang out. Yep. All right. That said, we're going to do the subscriber streams. So on Monday, you're going to see the top 10 streamed to our subscribers live as we record it. As we used to record it, just can it. Now we're just going to show you the thing live. And of course, you can go back and watch it if you want to. But we kick it off with our first pick in our giveaway. Get your $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat. But sub first to get 2 chances to win. It doesn't matter if you won before. You just do it. You go. And don't forget our raid at the end of the show to support a member of the community. Enter your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight. And that is thanks to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day. All right, we go here to our first pick. Now, it's a little weird how we have this thing that happens whenever the Commander Council decides to ban something. Honestly, it's usually when they try to announce anything whatsoever, which is they announce something and their web server is ran on like a Radio Shack, like
it's run on a Tweed loom.
Seriously, it's absolutely ridiculous. But they did release some important information, which is Worldfire is unbanned. You know, bonus points if you had any idea what that card did before they mentioned it. And Golos Tireless Pilgrim is banned, which was a huge deal. A lot of people are not very happy. It is the most popular commander on EDH Rec. That's a line in the sand.
That is a lot. And I heard a lot of people on Twitter making a big stink about it. And I don't know very much about Commander, but if I'm hearing about it, it has to be a big deal. Because I certainly do not follow it.
Yeah, I'm much closer to the center of that particular orbit. I play a ton of Historic Brawl. I'm in a lot more of casual circles with, you know, my LA friends who are not professional Magic players. And Golos has long been the go-to 5-color, like, good stuff commander. Right. There's really not a replacement for exactly what Golos was doing, because not only is it a 5-color commander, it fixes your mana and doesn't ask anything else out of you. The 7 mana ability that it has, its ability to seek out the 1 copy of Field of the Dead or the World Tree in your deck. It is a very ridiculously consistent commander. And for that reason, I am very happy that it's gone. Mm-hmm. I think that it opens up the floodgates for additional 5-color commanders. Things, you know, like Kenrith, or even going back old school, you can go back and get, you know, Chromat and Child of Alara and stuff like that to make slightly different decks. Mm-hmm. And Worldfire getting unbanned, I knew what Worldfire does because I had a screenshot go semi-viral when I drafted a Thragtusk and a Worldfire in a deck together, and I got it to work. But yeah, Worldfire is a 9 mana sorcery that requires setup to win with. So, and in their explanation on the website, it's not exactly like Biorhythm or Coalition Victory, which are basically instant win cards. Worldfire does not win the game literally 100% by itself. It merely wins the game 70 to 80% by itself. You just need, but you do need to have mana floating or something that has an effect when it leaves the battlefield or something like that. So I'm in favor of both of these changes. And I'm glad that they happened, and it's always funny to see their website crash.
Every time.
Every time.
Look, Worldfire, for those who don't know, is 3 red, 6 generic mana. I have it on screen right now. It's a mythic from M13. It's a sorcery that exiles all permanents, exile all cards from all hands and graveyards. Each player's life total becomes 1. So with stuff like Teferi's Protection, this just kind of destroys everything else. Obviously, that takes a lot of setup, which is kind of cute. Like, there's a whole bunch of really cute things you could do with this kind of card. And the question was like, yeah, it is a big, crazy, silly thing, but people play counter spells. There's been other crazy, ridiculous cards, you know, in the 8 or 9 years since. And so let's just get rid of it. And of course, the internet exploded and these things went from $2 to $1 million, and maybe they came back down. I don't know. But it was pretty exciting there for a minute.
Yeah. This card is no worse than Expropriate. I mean, there's 1,000,000 9 mana and sorceries that are, you know, just as bad as this. So I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So, do note now, Dan Bach, longtime MTG dealer guy, I think he works with TCG Player these days. He quoted a part of it and said, unlike Coalition and Biorhythm, which we continue to believe are problematic in the environment, the level of effort needed to make Worldfire effective is sufficient, quote, this is what he called out, quote, that we suspect it will not be as much of an issue.
Yeah.
And so if you suspect it, does that mean you didn't test it? Does that mean you didn't play any games with that card? Does it matter? Honestly, in a Commander world, I'm not sure, right? I mean, at some point, you just kind of theorize what you are okay with and not okay with, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that that's a funny thing to point out. I don't think it means anything. I appreciate that Dan pointed it out, but also I don't think that you need to test every single unban that's ever coming across your table. I think it's fine.
Yeah. It is definitely wild and newsworthy that Golos, the most popular commander on the big commander side, got banned. Oh my God. All right. Well, we move out of our first pick to gather the townsfolk, thanks to our sponsor, cardhoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. Why in the world is that looking weird?
What in the world?
That's a Mortal Kombat shot?
Why is that a Mortal Kombat shot? What happened?
Apparently, I overwrote the image is my guess that I put
wild.
as the background.
Wait, no, put the thing back up.
I
missed it.
Put it back up.
It's fine.
Here we go. Card Hoarder logo over top of Liu Kang.
Also loves Mortal Kombat
versus Kano.
Right? There we go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This could have been so much weirder.
How did this happen?
This happened because the other day on Twitter, it was pick like what your favorite games were when you were 13. And so I had saved, 4 images, and one of them was this, and I had accidentally overwrote what the background image of that slide was.
Amazing.
Hello, everybody. We're literally live tech supporting.
We can fix it. Go ahead and fix it, and then we'll edit it for the live for the not live show.
We'll edit. It's going to take too long.
That is the funniest glitch I've ever seen in 6 years of this show.
I'll fix it next week. I promise. We gotta move on. Gathering.
It could have been any random thing he saved to his computer, so let's just be really happy.
Let's just cross our fingers and be thankful. That's right.
Hey, it could have been worse. All right, it's a Mortal Kombat screenshot. I think we did okay. All right, so Wizards of the Coast did not do, as far as I can tell, did not do an official cinematic video for Adventures of the Forgotten Realms. Like, they just didn't do one. They've done one for every set previous, as far as I know, even going way back to when they did like animated versions, and we're talking like original Ravnica old school stuff. But they did one for Innistrad Midnight Hunt. It is once again for kind of like, I think one of the themes they have is like putting children in peril. That's like that's a thing they do. Yeah. In their little cinematics. But this one was actually really cool. I felt like this was one of the best they've done in a long time. In particular, in that the wolves themselves like felt scary. Like like the sound effects were fantastic, and the world building here, and Jaren, it's the Jaren character who's coming to like and this poor kid who's just been crapped on all over the place, and the kids are crapped on, and the wolves are going to get him. He's going to throw him to the wolves. Absolutely true. Almost 4 minutes. I was honestly blown away because I felt like what had been happening was things were getting worse and worse. I thought Zendikars was, and then Kaldheim's was like okay, like really random. But yeah,
one with the mutate set, that one was really bad.
The Ikoria one, yeah, that's the one, the bad reputation.
I feel like that's when it started to go downhill.
It really did. That was when you're like, oh, guys, were you really happy with that? Because we weren't happy with that. But I thought they did a fantastic job with that outing. So whoever did that one, good job.
The animation is gorgeous
It's
on
very
this thing, and it does not have a ton of views. I remember that. I believe it was the War of the Spark one. Didn't it get like 5 million views?
Well, I think there's two reasons for that. One is they can put advertising dollars behind this particular video, which will then blow up its view count. The other thing is this came out like 8 hours ago or something. So
okay.
There's
still hope. Definitely go watch it. It's super dope.
The other thing is too is like it was got, the Liliana. It was like the War of the Spark one specifically was just kind of pandering to what everyone wants to see. I was there when they revealed it at PAX during the first invitational, and people in the audience were crying.
Oh yeah,
like genuinely crying.
Like people want an emotional connection with the game. Like they crave it. Like when you're watching this thing, I'm like, oh man, I get to care about a character, like, and see what happens to them in the world of Magic. Like that's awesome. So they like next year's Netflix show, they have an opportunity there to gather a lot of enthusiasm. People want to believe in this stuff and want to see cool stories that happen in the Magic world, and they've just not been showing them. Like these last cinematics were just disasters in many takes. I was just, it wasn't great.
The cookie one was pretty cute though.
Yeah.
It was less exciting, but I thought I liked that one a bunch.
Right, but we got to go back 2 years, right? So we got to go 2 years back to Eldraine, which was super cool and clever, and then it kind of went downhill from there, and that's what, made me kind of sad, particularly the Zendikar one. I was like, man, that's a weird, bad cutscene in a video game. Like, you know, when you look at how they did this one, there's a lot of sort of cinematicness to it, and again, a lot of attention to things like the sound design, which was fan-freaking-tastic, that I felt weren't there in some of the other productions. But overall, hot stuff. Let's see, y'all. There was a cool note here that Mind Rot had been continuously in standard for over 20 years until now, because it's not reprinted in Midnight Hunt. That's just a long time for a Magic card to be legal. And like they've kept making Mind Rots better just a little bit over time.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And now it's like, we'll give you a Mind Rot and a free zombie that you get one swing with. That's a hell of a Mind Rot.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's really exciting that they've figured out a way to make a token that's kind of worse than a 1/1.
Kind of, yeah.
And even kind of worse than an 0/1. Like a 2/2 Decayed Zombie is just a body that doesn't do, like it can't chump block, you can't put equipment on it, or you can't really put enchantments on it. Like it's not anything, but it taps for your tap abilities, it sacks to your sack abilities, and so you're getting really menial value. And I think it's a really clever thing that they can staple onto things like Demolish, to Mind Rot, things that aren't, very exciting. And
I think normally I would agree with that, but a slight thing is that they are producing a lot more tokens than normal, so like that kind of mitigates that. And the set has a ton of sack synergy, a lot. So you're getting a nice power boost in those cards. So if your tokens stuck around for as long as you wanted, plus they give you super powerful sack outlets and more tokens than you could possibly ever hope for, I think that would be too powerful. So this feels like the good balance to me.
Yeah, and it works out with like cards like Vivisection, which is a mono blue card that starts with you must sacrifice a creature as additional cost, which it's a mono blue card. What? And so in the world of Innistrad, those tokens got a lot more interesting. Honestly, they can't block, but man, they can do a lot of other weird little incremental things.
And another really cool thing with the Decay token is they actually gave it the perfect equipment in this set. The black equipment, I don't know off the top of my head, it's a rare, but when you attack with the Decayed token, it dies at the end of combat, and you pay 2 life, draw 2 cards, and it has lifelink and flying, so that the Decayed token gets in 2 chip damage, you gain the 2 life, it dies at the end of the turn, and then you pay the 2 life that you gained to draw 2 cards. So
to that
there's
card.
just some beautiful synergy working here that I absolutely adore.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the Gristlebrand helm thing, that thing is constructed worthy. I want to build decks with that thing. That card is scary as hell. Oh my God.
I had a good draft today where I think I had 6 of the Larder zombies in my deck, and just a bunch of those, crappy tokens. Then I'm just like fixing the top of my library, surveilling 2 at the end of every turn until I find the 2/2 zombie that lets my opponent lose a life when I tap 3 zombies. So they get a lot of value when you put them in the the running wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put them in the guinea pig wheel, but printed as is, they're not great. And I think that it's just, to bring it back to the mind rot, I think that it's great that they've given that spell that has been in standard for 20 years, but no one really plays.
Right. You play one copy and you're sealed sometimes.
Yeah. And, it was outclassed by Inscription of Ruin and lots of other mind rot-like abilities.
Go blank and all this other stuff. Yeah.
And so I'm glad to see this.
Yeah, it's interesting to me when you see these kind of like lifetimes, and we're going to see more of this as Magic gets older and older. There's going to be lifespans of cards. They came here, they exited there. We've recognized that Mind Rot is just not worth 3 mana. It's just, we've gotten to the point where we're so spoiled. You got to give me something beyond that.
I believe they also printed a Strictly Better Giant Spider in this set.
Oh yeah,
and
1000%.
if I'm not mistaken, Giant Spider was the card that was in the core set the most in a row.
The longest, I think.
The longest.
Are you talking about the 1/4 that knights into the wolf, the 3/5 wolf?
No, the 2/4 spider that makes a 1/2 spider when it dies.
Oh,
yeah,
and that card is just the best giant spider of all time. And
right.
So
I thought the giant spider was the 3/5 spider that they print from time to time.
Right.
They have
the
half
mammoth
of that.
Spider. Yeah.
that's the mammoth spider. But the giant spider is like alpha, old school.
Yeah.
Right. This is Brood Weaver, I guess, is the card. Although this is an uncommon. So it's not exactly a 1-to-1 ratio with the Mind Rot. In any case, I'm glad that they're tweaking these knobs and figuring out how to make them work.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just you get to see like the game designer wheels turn when you say things like, the Decayed Zombie can't do too much. And they go, you sure about that? It can activate all these abilities. It can sack for so-and-so. You can get bonuses by sacking it to spells. And like, it's really cool how they used it in different ways.
Shock Plus as well.
Yeah. There was also an anniversary that someone mentioned in the chat. Chandra is leaving standard for the first time ever, like since Lorwyn. There's been a Chandra in standard. So I think the only 2 holdouts now are Jace and Liliana are the only 2 who've been in every standard nonstop.
Because Ajani was first and Garrick was first. So
Garrick died or whatever. Yeah.
And Garrick died and so was replaced for a while. Ajani obviously got replaced by Gideon and Elspeth as the top flight. So I think it is just Jace left.
Yeah. There was a nice notice here from the MTG History Twitter handle. That's a fantastic account to follow, by the way. They noted that the first You Make the Card, a year-long event on MagicTheGathering.com to crowdsource the design of a Magic card via upvotes and suggestions, wrapped up 18 years ago. Yes, they dragged that on for a year. This was one of those things that happened like right before I got back into Magic, was seeing this like just show up. The first time I ever saw this, I think they were just kind of like announcing that it exists. But Forgotten Ancient did show up in Scourge. It's a green and 3 generic mana for an 0/3 rare elemental. Whenever a player plays a spell, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Forgotten Ancient. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may move any number of +1/+1 counters from Forgotten Ancient onto other creatures. I assure you, in 2004 or whatever, this was super exciting. They were pumped for
this is one of my favorite decks that I ever built. It was super casual, but I had this with Mephatros Vampire and Triskelion. So you could either move them. You had the kill everything combo with the Triskelion and Mephatros, or you could just move all the counters on the Triskelion and kill them. It's great. This card's amazing.
Then they ran this back and we got Crucible of Worlds out of it.
We did. That was the second You Make the Card, I think.
And I think that was when they're like, we should probably not.
Well, maybe
Waste Not was the last one, right? Waste Not was the last one?
Well, they stopped it for a while, and then Waste Not was like a rebirth of it.
Because that was to do the Magic 2015 thing where there was a bunch of different designers that made Magic cards. Right. And then the community made one or whatever. It was all very cool. But again, Daily MTG History, fantastic Twitter account that I enjoy. You should check it out. All right. Let's move on here together. The Townsfolk. Yeah. We're going to move on here to Desperate Ravings and check out our altar sleeves. Support the show by using the code MAGICMICS at checkout for 5% off anything in the store, including a set of sleeves. We got new ones, guys. Do you know we got new ones?
I've heard that we have new ones.
We got
for this
Are we showing them?
We definitely want to show them. I don't know exactly when they're available yet, but we do have plans for these.
Okay.
And we can, and I will bring it up. I'll put it up on the screen right now. Check it out.
I am blown away by this art here.
Look at the artworks going on right here. Focus for me. Come on.
We've got Werewolf Evan.
Yes.
Vampire Nerd Girl. And I gotta say,
and there's Hammy there.
I look exactly like this Frankenstein. Like when I saw the art come in, I was like, this is me.
Yeah.
Incredible work by the artists.
Yeah, really, really enjoyed that one. I
want to credit the artist. Let me find the name real quick.
Yeah. I want to get this up here on the screen so you guys can see it. But Nerd Girl, what do you think about it?
I think this is Jin Pixel was the artist.
I really like it. I had them change the hair color to match it a little bit more to me. They don't have my glasses, so everybody thinks it doesn't look like me.
I mean, if you say so, I don't think that's true, but
for the most part, I don't think it matters because I can't stop looking at Evan.
Right.
His character is just so absurd.
Yeah,
and
it's so amazing. Crazy.
So I don't think it matters whether or not we look at all like what we look like because we're just going to look at Evan.
Right. Look, I'm looking good.
Evan's character on there is just too good. It's definitely the star of the show.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And also Hammy has vampire teeth, which I thought was quite adorable and I appreciated.
Adorbs.
So
yes.
Hammy getting top booking. I'm really appreciative of that. Yeah, I think it's really excellent. I mean, there is of course the Superman Clark Kent with the glasses, but
oh my God, Hammy is on there. Oh, I didn't even notice that before.
Yeah. Hammy's on there with the teeth.
Yeah.
No, I meant
you mean the name. Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I didn't see that before.
The Vampire Hammy part of the show. That's right. So these new sleeves, which are super awesome, and you'll be able to get one of these for free if you're sub to the channel or if you're a patron on Patreon for free. You get one of those for free just for supporting us. Isn't that incredible? That's awesome.
Very cool.
Thanks so much for Altered Sleeves for doing this because, I got the artwork all super cool and that's brilliant. And I swear to God, that's just Ruben. Like that just
is me. I know. It's wild.
It's crazy. He's got that. He's done it.
The artist did a great job of like the facial likeness. I like them.
Stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So that is super cool. So become a patron over at Patreon. Be a sub here on the channel. We really appreciate it. And we're going to start doing more sub streams where we get to check the FU box, which we talked about earlier. Which we don't do it when we're live like this. We're live to everybody.
That's right.
That's not okay. All right. Well, that's it. We talked about them. They're great. Check them out. Desperate Ravings. Look, man. Gavin Verhey, obviously terrific dude who's awesome. He tweeted, he said, "Today I learned Coldsnap was designed in 6 weeks." Now, this isn't like some government secret or whatever, or wizard secret. They found this out through a Mark Rosenberg article. But he's like, 6 weeks. That may sound low. As someone who makes magic, it's even wilder than it sounds. Magic sets can take years. Even all reprint sets get several months. Coldsnap has many flaws, but my posthumous respect for it just went way up. What I would say, because I lived through it, is that it played like it was designed in 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's not a great set. I mean, look, it is a monumental feat to design a set.
It is.
Period.
Totally.
And the fact that they did it in a, 20% of the time that you would normally have to design a set is laudable.
It is laudable.
However, the set's not great. But I think that it's probably better than most sets that would be designed in 6 weeks.
I mean, yeah. I don't know, man.
Better than Homelands.
They designed a set that had the worst pre-release I've ever, like the saddest pre-release I've ever been to. It was a funeral. It was like a morgue in there. It was sadder than Saviors of Kamigawa. That's just sadly impressive. Oh man, it hurt, man. It really hurt to hang out on that one. And I hate the ripple mechanic. It was way too much. Like you either just won all out or you just didn't hit anything and you looked like an idiot. The whole thing was just a hot mess. And the Aurochs, remember the Aurochs deck?
Look, nobody's apologizing for Coldsnap here.
And I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying that, like, man, I wasn't that impressed. I know I'm terrible. I know this takes hard work. I'm not trying to dismiss that people didn't work hard on it. I'm saying that at the end of it, I didn't like what came out of it.
I will say, not to blow up your spot, Evan, but the word is posthumous.
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 Posthumous. Thank you.
No worries.
All right. So another just desperation thing.
That's one of them. That's one of them Calliopes.
Hey y'all.
That's one of them. That's one of them words you see and haven't said before.
That's right. Because I only read it, so I don't know how you say it and stuff. All right. So moving on here to not dark mode. # not dark mode. There was a tweet here from Dana Roach about the amount of legendary creatures added by year. Look at this number fly upwards. 13 in 2009, then 15, then 28, then 22, and so on. And then this year, I guess so far, 151. Last year had 176.
Which year did Dominaria come out?
2018, I think.
I was going to say, so that makes sense because you have that little extra spike there.
Little bump right there. And then they just went hog wild with Legends.
It's the best-selling format, right?
Yeah.
Like, who's buying all these boxes? It's definitely EDH players.
They're leaning in to the
It's not the pros.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
I was talking to Melissa Del Toro the other day, and she's like, I don't think I ever bought, Magic card. I just kind of, borrowed decks or had sponsors or whatever. It's definitely not the pros, so.
Yeah. So they making more legends makes legendary creatures, which makes commanders, and those people all love that stuff.
It is wild to see that, like you mentioned, Dominaria, legendary permanence was a theme, and yet there's only 92 in the year that Dominaria came out.
For the whole year.
There's about twice as many came out last year.
There were 112 in Commander Legends alone, and Commander Legends 2 comes out next year, so...
Yeah, the commander sets are, I feel like now that they're pumping out more specialty products too, we're going to see that number continue to inflate because before we weren't getting so many of those products.
Right. Yeah.
So it probably just is lower in the sets.
Now,
and I'm torn on it. I don't like that they designed for commander. I mean, this is because I'm a very crotchety old man who wants kids to get off my lawn. But I remember being challenged to build commander decks as opposed to, oh, this is how you build a commander deck. Which, for an enfranchised player like me, I get that is a very high and mighty position. With that said, I'm just like, it just feels weird to design Magic for commander, in my opinion. And
that's what they're doing. They're not designing for standard. They're designing for commander. Standard's like a nice byproduct at this point. Isn't it cool? It would be nice if things get stupid. We'll just ban them. But you can tell when everything switched in 2019 and Eldraine took over, the brakes were off. And then came Companion, for God's sakes, which very well may be the worst design mistake in the history of Magic. I thought it was Phyrexian Mana, but they topped themselves. They really did. Moving on here to splash damage, you can't not point out that the Tales of Aria world premiere Flesh and Blood event was not a success. It was absolutely a success. Over 900 people in the main event, over 1,000 people in the room. This is for a TCG that had been shrouded a little bit in mystery for various reasons. One being a whole market of people who want to buy and sell the first editions of the sets. And then the other half was, who is buying this game? Who is actually playing this game? Is it just the people buying the first edition stuff, or are there actual players out there? There's players. They're right there. Okay.
Yeah, they brought a lot of creators out to it too, which is always going to help. It feels like they're doing everything that they need to do to help support the game and make it grow.
Yeah. I was shocked. This was my first pick. If I had been organizing the show, the Flesh and Blood main event in Las Vegas would have been my first pick. Because it is just an unbelievable shock to me how huge of a success this was. Not only was this I think the first major trading card tournament that has happened since the pandemic started live, open event.
Remember the secret GP lol?
That had way fewer than this.
Oh yeah, way fewer.
We've talked about how we love all of the support that Flesh and Blood is putting into giving creators and giving to cosplayers. And the big question for me was, is this versus system? Right. By that, I mean, is this shoving a bunch of money into a game to try to get the enfranchised Magic players to come over to a new game, having a big tournament system, series, having it burn out in 2 years, and then we never hear from it again.
Well, I mean, that's what Magic did to Hearthstone, and we're going to see how that plays out.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as Flesh and Blood doing that. So Magic wanted to be the next esport, the next big Twitch card game. And, that is out within a year. And now we've got Flesh and Blood that wants to be the new kid on the block for actual physical trading card games. So, I mean, I haven't played it. I'm hopeful that, variety is always good. It's good for us. It keeps Wizards on their toes. It might force them to, if this becomes a thing, maybe we get better product on both sides. Yeah. And I'm excited for that.
I mean, I think that Hearthstone definitely forced Wizards to make a move in the online space.
Right.
I think that Flesh and Blood will do the same for Magic in the live play space, especially if they can get the locals, if they can get an FNM, if they can figure out how to get a PTQ system to be, to chug along by itself without having to have huge build up to one big event in Las Vegas.
Right. The next event is also very important, right? Like this one was important, but the other one is also important because there's one thing in that, prove it, right? And they did. Now it's like, all right, so you're not a flash in the pan. There just wasn't that one event that everybody showed up to and then no one showed up to anything else. That's also very important. I would note that if the people who are involved with these events and or the game happen to be listening, constructed feedback time, y'all. What you did was you ran a successful event against honestly, a lot of opinions. You proved a lot of people wrong. High five. The coverage sucked. I'm sorry, the coverage was trash. The coverage is bad because I don't know your game. So you have to try really hard. I'm talking like every game really hard to tell me what is going on. I don't know what is happening. You're throwing out random card names and don't put the images on screen. You don't have helpful here's how a chain works. Here's why everything says go again. You're not explaining to me all the different numbers that all these things rely on. That stuff matters, man. I could not follow it. I swear to God, I tried. I just didn't know what was going on. And so having on-screen reminders of things that help, having little tiny tutorial videos that show, when this card shows up, here's a little thing that shows how this works and what this does, and it makes a token or whatever the hell. I want to follow your game. I want to understand what is happening. I just couldn't. I mean,
I feel like if you get a random person and sit them down next to Magic coverage, it's going to be a very similar feel.
And it very well
so I feel like you're putting an expectation on something just because you don't understand the game. But that's kind of the way coverage is. If I watch football, it's going to, have a similar effect. I mean, I actually probably do know a fair amount about football, but I don't know, rugby or something. I don't know the rules.
But all those games have been around decades. This has been around for 1 year. This is your first event with your first coverage. It has to be about the first player experience, in my opinion, because that's who you're broadcasting to.
So there's an interesting thing here where I feel like I have some inside knowledge on how they could have done this better because I was a Kaijudo commentator for a brief period of time for the second Kaijudo championships. And we had a discussion about people watching don't know the rules. How do we do commentary for a game that people don't know what they're talking about? Right. And it does take a very specific kind of color commentator to be able to break it down into bite-sized chunks, and then a color commentator where they make it exciting even if you don't know what the rules are. And football can get by with that.
Right. So granted, I might have went a little too far, not trying to say it was trash. I understand there's a lot of people who did a lot of good work. They tried hard. I get it. I did the coverage thing. I ran the coverage stuff. But that's what we need to improve.
I will say it was good looking.
It wasn't bad.
It was pretty.
It was solid production value.
They do need to solidify the foundation before they put a second story on the house.
And to me, that is, again, think of like little tiny, 10-second videos that explain what a certain card does or a certain interaction that's very common does. And like, yes, you have to do this in a way that Magic doesn't. But again, when this is your first ever broadcast of your first ever event, you have to talk to everyone like you have no idea what this is and what this means. And we're not
so you want
hardcore
10-second clips that they put up in the board, like on the screen during gameplay, during live coverage?
Either on
like,
gameplay
and
or
have
live
all
coverage.
of it like preset?
Some of it you can, I think. It depends on what, it depends on sort of what the biggest interactions of that game are and how you'd want to highlight them. Again, as this is a new player experience, showcase a new player experience. Think about this not as you're talking to the hardcore tournament people, because the hardcore tournament people are already in. They're already full in, they know everything. So, every time you talk about a card, can you show it? If you can't show it, can you try to explain a little bit of what it means? Because I just didn't get any context out of it.
Hearthstone did that. Hearthstone had little, like, let's cut over to the inn where they talk about what cards do. Sure. Right? Like, they had little, and they even like, remember when celebrity poker was a thing?
Yeah.
And they would always be like, let's cut over to learn how poker works. And then someone would explain to you how poker works for 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And poker's been around for 1,000 years. So, you're definitely going to need to explain the rules to the game if you're going to try to get people to come back for a second time, for sure.
So to make this a compliment sandwich, you did great. You beat expectations. I think your coverage could be improved, but there was a terrific thread by Tappy Toe Claws where she talks about being a cosplayer for the event. It was absolutely incredible experience for her. She had an amazing time. The company absolutely bent over backwards, giving them the tools they need to make these cosplays, which was incredible. So like, that was awesome. No doubt about it. The way they treated their guests was incredible. The guests they got were fantastic. And the way they sort of made the world come alive, A+. You guys did that. Good job. All right. Let's see here. Not much else, I think, to bring up at this point in time, unless you guys feel strongly either way.
I'm good.
We will move on here, turn the corner to the finisher. Gen Con is happening right now. Fewer people than normal are there, and it is later than normal in the year, but all the same trading card gaming, tabletop, and all things nerdery have convened in downtown Indianapolis. But nature is healing. So tell me, once we emerge from the fallout shelters, what do you most look forward to at the conventions, Ruben?
I miss afters. Afters. So I'm most looking forward to hanging out with half-dressed cosplayers and exhausted vendors at a hotel lobby bar until 4 a.m. because that's always the highlight of my weekend.
So much fun. Everybody just hangs out, They've been doing it all day, but they're still doing it because that's what we're there to do.
Everyone
playing
is
werewolf.
Playing werewolf. Everyone's dead behind the eyes, but they want to stay because they're afraid they'll miss something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nerd Girl?
All right. I'm most looking forward to getting to see my friends and also my enemies. I really miss getting to see the life leave their eyes after I kill them.
Yeah, that's always nice.
A little intense. Well, look, I'm looking forward to being in the same place where everyone is on the same page. You want to draft, cube, flip it or rip it? Everybody's on board, especially if the recommendation is a free steak dinner on a corporate card.
Ooh, that is a good one.
That was my superpower for many years, was getting free meals at events for those who had corporate accounts like Wizards employees. That was fun. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Nerd Girl.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. And if you're a subscriber, you might have to show up early now and see our live show if you want to, or you can watch it late. Also,
you can watch it later. We're still recording.
Everything's recorded, but
fine.
Also you can come chat with us.
They can be part of the sausage.
Right. You can become a part of the sausage, everybody.
And we would talk more about that if it was the pre-show. All right. So we're going to, it. All right. Moving on here to the final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com, and Alter Sleeves. Use that code MagicMikes on AlterSleeves.com. My co-host, Nerd Girl, and Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching or listening. I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.